Welcome back to our series. This is a Francis Online Tuition powered by Odum Business Consult. So as we started looking at the single entry and incomplete records, we've looked at the meaning, reasons why people do resort to incomplete records. We've considered that too. We are done with the disadvantages, okay? So today we are going to look at how to compute for profit or loss under or from single entry records. Okay, in business at the end of the period we have to determine, or we have to prepare profit and loss account to know whether as a business we are making some kind of progress in the business that we are undertaking, okay, or whether the business is performing in terms of profits. Okay, so for you to know whether the business is making profit, then you have to present what is known as profit and loss account. Okay, so we are going to see how we can prepare profit and loss, or how we can determine profit or loss from single entry records, okay, and incomplete records. Okay, so in order to determine profit, we have to compare different capital balances, okay, of two given period. What it means is that we have to compare the balances of the capital that we started with, okay, and then the capital that we got at the end of the accounting year. So if we started a business of, let's say, using 5,000 cedis as the beginning balance, we have to compare it to the closing balance of that capital to know whether indeed there has been an increase in capital or not. If you compare the two balances and you know that the closing balance is more than the opening balance, it means we've made profits at the end of the period. But in a situation whereby the closing balance is less than the balance that we started with, it means we've made loss. Okay, so under single entry and incomplete records, one of the ways that we can determine the profit for the period is to compare the balances of two given period. Okay, the balances for the capital, okay, for two given period. For two given period, we are talking about the beginning of the accounting year and that of the end of the accounting year. Okay, so when you started the business, assuming you started with 10,000, and at the end of the period you've gotten 20,000, it means you've made a profit of 10,000. Okay, because if you compare the beginning to that of the closing balance, it means you've made a profit. Okay, so one of the ways that we determine whether we've made a profit or loss is to compare the balances for the two. Okay, so here we have the statement of profit or loss. We have to prepare what is known as statement of profit or loss. Okay, so over there we have the open capital and that of the closing capital, and then we have additional capital too. Okay, so this, in the statement of profit or loss, we have to have the opening capital for the business, and we have to get the closing capital and drawings for the business, and then you have to add our additional capital into this. So these are the elements that you will see in the statement of profit or loss under single entry. So once again, I said you have to get the opening capital, okay, then that of your closing capital or drawings. We will give explanation to all this in our subsequent series, so don't worry about that. Then we have additional capital introduced. So these are the elements that you are going to see in the statement of profit or loss account, because we said that we have to compare the balances of the capital, okay, the beginning and that of the end. So these are the elements that will be seen under the statement of profit or loss from single entry records. Okay, so if you are to make it in a statement form, this is how the statement of profit or loss for the year ended will be. Okay, so you have your heading statement of profit for the year ended. So it could be 31st December 2019. Okay, so the date always you get it from the question given. So when you have to start with your closing balance, okay, the closing one, because you are going to compare the closing to the beginning. So we said if the closing is more than the beginning, it means we've made profit for the period, and the vice versa. Okay, so we have the closing balance of the capital, we have it here. Then you will less the opening balance of the capital, because here we compare. Okay, so you have to find the difference between the two balances. Okay, so you have to strike the difference between the two balances. Then you have to less your additional capital into this. Okay, we are lessing additional capital introduced from the closing capital. We treat the additional capital introduced to be part of the beginning capital that we started with. Okay, so assuming we started business with, let's say, 2,000, and in the course of the business we said that maybe we needed more fund to run the business, or the 2,000 cannot finance the activities of the business. We introduce additional 5,000. It means that additional capital that we've introduced becomes part of the first capital that we introduced, or the initial capital that we introduced. Okay, so always you have to less your additional capital from the closing capital when you are presenting statement of profit or loss account. And I said we are lessing because we treat that one to be part of the open capital. Okay, and the two elements here that we are comparing has to do with the closing capital and that of the opening capital. Okay, so we less the opening capital from the opening capital from the closing capital. Okay, and additional capital we less it because we treat it to be also be part of the initial capital introduced. Okay, so you have to also less it. Then you have to add your drawings. Drawings are the resources or the goods that the owner takes it from the business for his personal use. And we are adding because had it not been the drawing, the capital for the business would have been more than that. Okay, the capital for the business at the initial stage would have been, or at the end of the period would have been more than that. Okay, had it not been the drawing, or if the owner has not taken any resources from the business, it means the closing capital of the business would have been more than what will be shown in the books. So we have to add the drawings that has been made from the business on the part of the owner, so that the actual profit for the period or the actual amount of closing capital will be known. Okay, so we have to add drawings back to the closing capital. So here you have to add, after lessing your additional capital introduced, the figure that you get, you have to add your drawings to it. After adding your drawings to it, then you get your either your profit or your loss at the end of the period. Okay, so the first thing you have to do, you have to bring your closing capital. Okay, then you will less your opening capital, because we want to compare the beginning and that of the closing. So we less the opening from the closing figure to know whether you've made a profit or loss. Because if you start a business of, let's say, 2,000, at the end of the day you are getting a closing capital of 3,000, it means if you strike the difference, it means you've made a profit of 1,000. Okay, so we compare the two figure to know whether we've made a profit or loss. Okay, and I said we have to less additional capital introduced because we treat it to be part of the initial capital that we introduced. So we started business, and in the course of the business we got to know that the resources that we have is not enough, so we have to add more to it. So the additional one that we introduced, we also treat it to be part of the initial capital that we've introduced. And we have to add drawings because if the owner had not taken resources from the business, it means the closing figure that we will see for capital will be more than what to be given in the question. Okay, so we add drawings to the statement to know the actual profit for the period. So when you do all this computation, the figure that you get, if it is positive figure, it means we've gotten a profit at the end of the period. If it is a negative figure, then we've gotten a loss. Okay, so if it is a loss, you see it to be in a bracket. In accounting, if you see a figure in bracket, it means it is a negative figure. Okay, so this is where I'll end the presentation on how to compute the profit or loss from single entry records. Okay, so I said in order to do that, we have to compare the capital balances, okay, the closing balance against the opening balance. Okay, so if the closing balance is more than the opening balance, it means we've made the profit. The other way around is true. So if the beginning balance is more than the closing balance, it means we've made a loss. Okay, so this is the technical way of presenting or determining profit or loss under single entry records, and I want you to bear in mind, you have to put it in your head. We compare the two balances for the capital to know whether we've made a profit or loss. Okay, and in doing that, we have to present what is known as statement of profit or loss, statement of profit or loss for the year. Okay, and in that we are going to see opening capital, you're going to get closing capital and drawings, and you get additional capital introduced. Okay, so these are the elements that you see under that to determine whether we've made a profit or loss. Okay, so we are going to see how we can present a statement of affairs to determine the opening capital and that of the